Hey, it's Miss Imel, and I have, oh, it's on this side, the other Miss Imel, which is kind of fun. I'll explain that story to I'll just do it right now. Who am I kidding? I love telling this story. So at Miller Park, where the Brewers play, they obviously couldn't have fans this year. So they had a thing where if you paid $50 for their foundation, their like charity foundation, and you sent in a picture, you would get to have a cardboard cutout of yourself at the game. So I did that and now I have it and I'm very excited. I'm going to find some really fun and kind of weird things to do with it. So that's just going to hang out over my shoulder today. All right. Today's review is going to go over simplifying fractions. So we talked about how to simplify both proper fractions and improper fractions. Let's start with a proper fraction. So roll up my sleeves. Let's do simplifying of 12 over 30. Remember, when you simplify proper fractions, you need to use our good old friend GCF. And GCF stands for greatest common factor. That means I am listing all of the different factors, numbers, that I can multiply to equal the numbers that I'm looking for. So I'm going to use a text box to keep it nice and clean with 12. My factors of 12 include the one that you can always remember to start with is 1 and the number itself. So 1, and I am going to put some space in, 12. I can multiply 1 times 12 to equal 12. I can also multiply 2 and 6. 2 times 6 equals 12. And lastly, I can do 3 times 4 to equal 12. I'm going to make this space smaller. So these are all of my factors of 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. I can't multiply anything else to get there. For 30, there's quite a few more than what I did for 12. But for 30, again, you can always start with 1 times that number. So I'm going to put 1, and then I am going to put 30. 30 is an even number. That means 2 goes into 30. And when I multiply 2 to equal 30, whoops, my mistake, I multiply it by 15. So 2 times 15 equals 30. There's a 3 involved, so I know 3 is going to go in. 3, and there's a 0 involved, so that means 10. Anytime you see a 0, you can assume 10 goes into it, a 0 at the end, I mean. Here we go. This is easier to read, but takes a little bit more time than writing it. I can't put 4 into 30, but I can put 5. And so 5 times 6. And since those two numbers are neighbors, that means there are no other numbers that will go into this group of factors, because once you reach the neighbors, then you know you're done. Or if you reach it times itself. So now that I have my factors listed, I can figure out what they share in common. They're always going to share 1. It's never going to be 1. It shares a 2. We share a 3. And they share a 6, but that's it. So 1, 2, 3, and 6. My biggest number that they share, the greatest one, is 6. So that means my GCF is 6. So I am going to divide top and bottom by 6. And when I divide 12 by 6, if I'm not sure, I can just connect it to what it's connected to here, and that's 2. And for 6, from 30, it would be 5. So my final fraction, my simplified fraction, is 2/5. So again, a proper fraction, a smaller number on top, I have to find my greatest common factor. I do that by listing all the numbers I can multiply to equal this number and this number, numerator and denominator. I see what they share in common. I find the biggest number they share in common, and that's what I'm dividing here. So the biggest amount of work you're going to do in this type of problem is finding the factors. If you have an improper fraction, then you're going to be doing something different to solve. So let's go with 26 over, let's do 9. 26 over 9. This is my improper fraction. Last week I went over changing mixed numbers into improper fractions. Now we're going in reverse. This bar right here, my fraction bar, that is called a fraction bar, but it is also meant to represent division. So this line literally means to divide. And if you notice, the division symbol kind of looks like a fraction. It has the dot here, which could be the number, dot here, number, and then the line. So this line means to divide. So I'm doing 26 divided by 9. And this is going to come into play once we start doing decimals. First things first, though, let's still focus on fractions. I'm going to divide. And if I'm dividing this, the numerator is going to go inside the little house, and the 9 is on the outside trying to get in. We have to figure out how many times it has to knock to get inside, to put it in a little cutesy way. All right. I have to figure out how many times 9 goes into 26 without going over. So if I think about my multiples of 9, let's see, there's 9 times 1 is 9. 9 times 2 is 18. 9 times 3 is 27, too big. So I have to go 9 times 2. And it helps if you want to write out your multiples to figure that out, do it. It helps. So I'm going to multiply then 9 times 2, I get 18. And I'm going to subtract. I have to borrow and give. 16 minus 8 is 8. That becomes a remainder. Now, to put these in the correct place, I'm going to start with this 2. The 2 is going to become a whole number. It stays a whole number. It's a whole number here. It's going to stay a whole number. The 8, the remainder 8, is going to become my numerator. And this just slides over and stays as the denominator. It doesn't change. So my final answer for 26 over 9 is 2 and 8 over 9. So to kind of help review this, I'm just dividing 26 on the inside, 9 on the outside, 26 divided by 9. You read it backwards than like when you're reading words, it goes backwards. I figure out it goes in 2 times. Subtract the 18, I get a remainder of 8, and I rewrite my fraction. Now, to just kind of remember how everything goes, let me rewrite this. 26 over 9. And when I'm writing this, I'm going to write my whole number. Well, let me redo that. Sorry. 26 over 9. I'm going to have my whole number that goes here. The remainder, this isn't a hashtag, it's a number symbol. And then the denominator. So whole number, remainder, denominator. So that's how it became the whole number of 2, the remainder of 8, and the denominator of 9. So if that helps to kind of draw this out before you write your answer to know where everything goes, you can do that. All right, next week, we're starting a project, so we're not going to be doing any new lessons. Be ready to go next week. Please get any missing work done and have a great weekend, and I will see you in class. All right, bye everybody. The other Miss Imel says bye too.